Today I'm going to be talking about Joseph Zarelli, previously known as the mystery boy in the box. In this slideshow, there is going to be graphic images and details about child abuse and child death. If you're sensitive to that, I will bring up every time there is an image, but it's important to note that there is a ton of graphic details just in the wording all throughout. This is some background. This does actually contain a sensitive image, but it won't show up until I finish the background information. So a child was found in the outskirts of Philadelphia in the woods. He was wrapped in a blanket inside of a cardboard box. So it is important to know about this cardboard box. Police did identify that it was originally a J.C. Penney box, and the box was originally a baby bassinet. Like that's what it contained. Experts estimate that the boy was between 3 to 7 years old. Later in 2022, they confirmed that he was born in 1954, making him 4 years old at the time of death. And here's going to be an image. So this is how Joseph was found. As you can clearly see, there's many beating marks, bruises, and overly, this is no way a child should be living. So some key points is that Joseph was believed to be raised as a girl. Police suggested this due to the way that the hair was cut and his eyebrows were styled. I don't personally, I don't think that this is a conclusive theory. It could just be something else, but that's what police concluded, and they released a missing persons with long hair and short hair, so maybe people could better know Joseph in either way. He was born January 13th, 1953, and died mid-February 1957. His parents were not married. His father was a known Philadelphia man. They located this in 2022 after they did genetic testing and linked one of his family members to him and figured out Joseph's date of birth. And from that, they revealed that he was born in a hospital. Both parents were on the birth certificate, etc. This info was not being released about the parents due to protect to Joseph's living siblings. It was clear that he was abused before he died. They don't know by who, by his parents, or if he ran away or with somebody else. He was never reported missing, which is a key point. Somebody in this world had to have known Joseph, especially if he was being abused so extensively. And this is another photo, I'm sorry. But this on the left is what they revealed that Joseph would have looked like, and they reconstructed it, they drew it with before the beatings and the bruising. This is time period and location. So it was in, as I said, Philadelphia. February 25th, 1957, somebody found a box and they saw a badly beaten boy inside. They called police. Police came. It is important to note that Bananas, he was not listed as a suspect, but police did look into him and they found no leads. So late 1950s and then the outskirts of Philadelphia is where this occurred. At the time, technology was not advanced enough and they did not locate his parents' name or age. So for over 50 years, people viewed him as the boy, that the mystery boy in the box. Like that's what people were constantly calling him. So identity uncovered in 22 as I previously stated through genetic testing. His name is Joseph Zarelli. His parents had him before marriage, and in the 1950s, this was a big stigma. Um, um, like having children out of wedlock was very frowned upon, and just in our time period all over the world, especially in America. Theories do suggest that he was born into poverty, which is kind of conflicting after figuring out that his father was an established businessman. It kind of leads me to believe that maybe the father was not in the picture, the father was not taking care of him, or nobody was taking care of him. He did have multiple surgeries, as I previously mentioned. This is just a sign that I think that somebody did try to help Joseph. In the autopsy, I didn't really see anything that suggested that he had like an autoimmune disease or needed like constant surgeries, but so what happened? He was found in the J.C. Penney box wrapped in a blanket, found in the woods, and then autopsy did suggest significant abuse and prolonged abuse. Hair was possibly done like cut after death, which is a lot of researchers analyze that could either mean remorse or even like some type of feelings involved with Joseph. And then his fingernails were cut short. Again, this wasn't declared either before or after death. So it's just showing more that was with this boy. Somebody had to do this with this boy. The top theories. So the first theory is a foster home theory. Essentially, this theory is that there was a couple in the foster home and they were responsible for Joseph's death. The foster home was about 1,000 feet away from where the body was found, which is interesting because of proximity. Similar blankets were the one that Joseph was wrapped in, as I previously mentioned, the blue checkered one, were found inside the foster home. And many kids in this foster home were being taken without license, without documentation. It was believed that this hat that was found near Joseph's body was sold to a man from the foster home. And this hat was located about 100 feet. It was just a blue hat that they located. And then Martha's confession, a woman named Martha claimed that the boy was bought by her family from his birth parents, almost in an adoptive way. She claimed that her parents abused her heavily, sexually, physically, emotionally, and they killed Joseph and were doing the same things to him. She claimed that the boy's name was Jonathan. Previously, they did not know his name was Joseph. They did not have the information that we have now. So she disclosed his name as Jonathan, which is somewhat similar to Joseph, which could have easily been changed when they were away. Provided details that only police knew. A lot of the details included malnutrition, isolation, which those details were not released to the public until years later, even years after this Martha confession. And then also, she provided very accurate details about the way he was wrapped in a blanket, where he was placed in the woods. It was just it seemed promising. So these are just some extended and kind of gives you why they don't work, why they do work. So for the foster home, the reputation of the foster home was not ideal. There was reports of abuse, undocumented children, etc., as I previously said. So the reason that the foster home was not pinned for this murder was because no DNA evidence was linking anybody to the home. No one confirmed that Joseph even stayed there, but there were so many undocumented children staying there, it's easy that they could have missed it. And then also, there's no conclusive evidence, there was no concrete evidence, there was no DNA linkage, there was just theories. And then for Martha, she said that Jonathan, he was killed because he was throwing up in the bathtub. And the mother became so angry and so frustrated that he was throwing up in the bathtub that she killed him right then and there and then dumped his body in the woods. Again, ruled out that no DNA. They actually tested Martha's mother, and there was no linkage there. Um, Jonathan, or Joseph as we know now, he did grow up in Philadelphia. So where Martha's theory, she's from Ohio, and she said that Jonathan got killed in the bathtub, and after death, the mother brought him to Pennsylvania, wrapped him up, and dumped him in the woods. But it was confirmed that Joseph was born in Philadelphia, grew up in Philadelphia. And then Martha also struggled with mental illness. Again, at the time, it was a very stigmatized. The police weren't even taking her essentially as serious as they would have if it was somebody different. They suggest, experts, that she was so psychologically damaged from her mother, they believe 100% her parents abused her, that she was making up these memories to cope with herself. And then that is it for my presentation. For me, I personally believe that I think that the mother, Joseph's real mother, was involved in his death a ton. Especially seeing that the father was established, but the mother was not, makes me assume that there was there was foul play in that, and the mother just could not handle it. And instead of taking him, a sick boy who needed multiple surgeries, instead of getting this help and support she needed, she took the easy way out and did kill him. And over here, you could see the sources I use. There was multiple CNN articles, and I also was locating, I didn't use them in this presentation, but the actual police reports in the 1950s, you could see that they were very puzzled on this, and America kind of came together, essentially, to help look for these boys' parents and to help get this boy justice. And hopefully in the future, going forward with more genetic testing and making more advances in um, science that we could hopefully find out what happened to Joseph Zarelli.